Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to talk about the different heads that we use on our winding molder. You can see them laid out here. So come right back and we'll talk about why they're different and what they do different from one another. Okay guys, I didn't even count, really don't matter. Let's talk about the heads that you're going to use on your molder, whether it's a Weinig, a logo saw, Woodmiser, Woodmaster. There's different types of steel. You got different grades of high-speed steel, and then of course now you've got carbide and insert carbide. Now on our Weinig, this is old school. This is 100 millimeter, 4 inches. It takes a high-speed steel of different quality, and it's a corrugated lock design. This one may be a little easier to see. You can see the corrugations right here. That's what locks that tooth in. These are great heads, but they only run high-speed steel. We've got these set up for 1.5-inch tongue and groove. This set was set up for just S4S. And then as time progressed, they come out with a center lock insert carbide. And it's just a big old chunk of steel with this small carbide insert right here. And it's actually reversible. You can take it out and turn it over. These are great heads. And you can get them in our Weinig. You can get them in the 100 millimeter, 200 millimeter setup. And they leave a superb finish compared to high-speed steel, plus the durability is tremendously better. Now, that comes at a cost, and you pay a lot more. I pay a lot more for insert carbide than I do high-speed steel. And this high-speed steel is technically not resharpenable because the time you pay to ship it back, you're not that far from, the time you pay to ship it, sharpen it, ship it back, you're not that far from just calling over there and paying shipping one way to order a set of new knives. Now I will micro polish these with some diamond hones when we get to using it. If it gets just a little micro crack, something went through it, it chipped the tooth, I can take a couple thousandths off with a diamond hone and get lots of miles out of them. Now if you hit some foreign debris, a piece of nail or whatever, and you chip it, it's just burnt, no different than any other nail, anyone. The next iteration is what they call small insert carbide for your side cutters. These are 1.5 inch thick heads, and you can use multiple insert carbides. This is tongue and groove nickel gap, and this one's actually tongue and groove V groove. Of course, this is creating your tongue, and this is creating your groove. These are great heads. Other than we hit some foreign debris, we're on our second set of knives on these, and we've run thousands of linear feet. They're supposedly good, upwards of 50,000 linear feet. So let me grab this call and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. That was one of my local suppliers and customers. He called to place an order. Got that taken care of. Matthew brought up a good point while I was on the phone. These high-speed steel knives are best suited for bigger moldings, deeper cuts. Now this machine is only a 5-head. Weinig makes some 6, 8, 10 head machines, and when you're running these big, wide, deep profiles, they'll do what's called a progressive, where you may have 3 cutters that it takes to get to that final profile, so you're not hogging it off all at once. And high-speed steel is a whole lot better suited, a whole lot more cost-effective for that versus carbide. But we're not in the molding market. There's not enough linear footage for me to want to fool with molding. Doing tongue and groove, doing hardwood flooring, V-grooves, S4S is where we're happy. There's other millwright shops out there that can do the small runs of molding. I just hate to charge somebody an astronomical setup charge to do $200 worth of work, okay? But you've got to, because there's so much involved in the setup process, especially in molding. Now, what we're doing with T&G is kind of in our wheelhouse, and we're happy with it. So, I hope that helps. The last head here is kind of a modern design. This is called, in the field, it's called a hog head for obvious reasons. It's just to hog off a large volume of material. It does not leave a superb finish. That's why we use it on our introductory head on the bottom. As it goes in, if we got a thick one, I can lower the bed and hog off a lot of material off of the bottom so that when it goes through the machine, I've got a kind of even number for the top to take off and the finish head on the outboard to take off. So it takes all of these different style heads to make your machine run. And depending on what you pay for your machine, you're gonna have a whole lot more tied up in this. Let me walk over here and just drop you in the box real quick. You know, there's a whole lot more heads piled in here. We've got a couple more.
All the knives and carbide too.
Oh yeah, Matthew. You gotta have tooling. You know, here's extra insert carbide, 100 millimeter, extra insert carbide, 400 millimeter. This is extra corrugated steel for S4S, which we don't use these much anymore. These are extra, it'd be better if I pointed this way. Extra insert carbides for our T&G, V-groove, nickel gap, and hardwood flooring. Like anything else, discounts come in volume, and when you order knives, the more you can order, the better discounts you'll get. But just bear that in mind. If I get a lot of calls from guys that are in this line of work considering getting into the molder planer side. It is the most expensive thing I've done so far, by far. The machine, I got a great deal on the machine, but that was a drop in the bucket to what we've spent on heads. 13, 12, 6, 5 a piece. You know, just write down the list. They add up quick, people. The knives on these are not overly expensive. I can get 10 for like $12, $15 for these. Insert carbides, yeah, you're well over $100 a piece. These are about well over $60, $75 a piece. Knives, depending on what steel you get, and they got several different grades, okay, from a high-speed steel to uber steel, like a AR400 type stuff. $12 to $25 an inch, okay? It gets expensive. These insert carbides, if you buy them in bulk, less than $100 a set, but you know, you got to buy multiple sets. So you're going to write some big checks when you call and order parts for these. And just bear that in mind. You know, if you're wanting to get into this, your sawmill is a whole lot cheaper. Your kiln's a lot of money up front, but it's not a recurring type thing other than the power bill. This is constant. You're wearing out parts and pieces and having to buy things, buying additional heads. So don't jump into this side of sawmilling until you've really dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, because you're going to spend a lot more money than you thought. And we did.
Going industrial.
Yeah, going in industrial. You can buy a Wood-Mizer / Logasaw, a Woodmaster. And the tooling's still expensive. I've looked at it. And the more you run, the more tooling you're going to need. And the more run, the more sharp knives you're going to need. And I get some people, well, why don't you buy a sharpener? I don't want nothing to do with sharpening. And the only thing you can sharpen is high-speed steel, and we run very little of it, okay? You're not gonna resharpen carbide, you're not gonna resharpen insert carbide, you're not gonna resharpen these insert carbides. And we took the class. To sharpen high-speed steel and do it correctly is a whole nother career path I don't want no part of. Now, if you're running a millwright shop, you're doing a lot of molding, by all means, you should have somebody in that building that can sit in front of one of those sharpeners and do the work. But for what we do, no. I got too much up here already. We don't want that part of it. So I hope that helps. You got any questions on running a molder and what you're going to have? You know, you got to have boxes of bushings and bearings and different things. I was actually going to buy some, and I missed them on Facebook. The only reason I didn't buy them is about 3.5 hours away, but I should have took off right then and went and got them because it was a good deal. Live and learn. Me and Facebook, love-hate relationship. So, as always, big shout out to Matthew and Solomon editing their videos. If you get a chance, check out Solomon's channel, Third Beard Fishing. I know he'd greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in a hat, we'll be glad to send you one. beardedlumbernc.com. Big shout out to Weinig. They make an awesome machine. They don't supply us with nothing. We're just a customer and we pay like everybody else, but they've been good to us. They're a great company. Fortunately for us, they're over in Mooresville, North Carolina, about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes away. If I had to have a part, I could be sitting at their door at 7:30 tomorrow morning and pick it up. So, what else, Matthew?
Third Saturday every month. It's a live stream.
Yep, don't forget, third Saturday every month, at 8 o'clock Eastern. We're full-time members with Outdoor Forestry Roundtable. I'll get the name right eventually. We cover different topics dealing with forestry, sawmilling, and especially made in America, okay? That's our main focus. And last month we had Will, I think it's Johnson, the president of Timber King, had a great conversation with him, enlightening us on some of his challenges buying American to make his product made in America. And it is a challenge. So we invite you to come in. Like I say, it's every third Saturday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Matthew and I will be on there with Craig, Tim, Rick, John, Andy. There's a whole bunch of us jump in, as well as our special guest. And you get to hear different opinions because I'm in the Southeast. Craig's out in Utah. John is in Indiana, I think. And then Tim and Rick are in upstate New York. And it's not Rick. What's his brother's name? I think. And Rick is in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I'm sorry. I ought to know. It just spur of the moment. It went right past my head. But what I'm saying is you have a different viewpoint from different parts of the country. And I get to ask these boys up north how it is to saw in cold weather because we don't want to know. So that's going to do it. As always, guys, appreciate each and every one of you watching. If you would, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.